Hello everyone, this is the great Lord and Master, Osiron, the Eternal, for another episode of the True Tree of Life and the Jewel of Creation. This is going to expound on the idea of the Qlipoth. And what you see here is the tree structures, the upper tree and the lower tree. This is the Tree of Life. This is actually the Kabbalistic Tree of Life presentation, and this is the true tree taking the position of what would be called the Qlipoth. And what the Qlipoth is, basically in a nutshell, is the evil, it's presented as the evil counterpart to the Tree of Life. So this would be good and this would be evil, basically. But that is basically fantasy bullshit, basically, is what it is. It's just, the Architects of Abrahamism are masters of perverting the truth. And Abrahamism in all of its facets is an example of that. And the thing about, I spend a lot of time, bashing Kabbalism, and for good reason. And it's because Kabbalism is basically an extension of Abrahamism, because the same people are the creators of it. So the same people that created created Abrahamism created Kabbalah. But you got to understand something. The Architects of Abrahamism don't create anything. They only steal and then pervert. That's what they do. They steal it from other people and then twist it and pervert it to make it fit the Abrahamic worldview. In a nutshell, what the Abrahamic worldview is that the masculine aspect of creation is dominant over the feminine. That's basically, in a nutshell, what it means. And that is the poison that is destroying our world, basically. And because, as I've shown in other videos, is the feminine is the superior aspect per se. It's the timeless aspect that it is. And the masculine aspect is only electricity, and that's the material matrix. In the Abrahamic worldview, puts that masculine aspect in superiority over the feminine. And everything that comes from Abrahamism isn't original to the Architects of Abrahamism. It's stolen, twisted and perverted, and then presented as truth. And Kabbalism can't be any different. So if you have people out there being Kabbalists, saying that Kabbalism is all this and that, and it's the secret of the universe, well, all it is a fancy version of Abrahamism, basically, and it's poison, and it can't be any other way. As I've shown countless times, is that what the Kabbalists call the Tree of Life is actually the properties that they assign to their Tree of Life, which is basically just the pre-manifestation aspects of the physical world, actually belong to the root. And that is what the true tree is. And this is only the material world. It's the physical body, and that's all it is. It's the universe, and that's all it is. It's just the physical. And they're putting the symbolic storyline of what would be the true tree of life and putting it on the physical structure. So really what it is, again, as I've described countless times, it's a physical, visual symbol of atheism, materialism, and Satanism. And it excludes the divine component, which is the feminine. And the feminine aspect is really only beauty and truth, is these intangible aspects that make what we call, the female aspect beautiful. You know what I mean? So, it's not necessarily about gender. It's just that women have a stronger connection to this divine source, which is why they're beautiful. That's also why women are demonized so viciously in Abrahamic religions. And Abrahamic religions are full of mythology that condemn the woman, demonize the woman, and make the woman evil. And the fantasy of the Qlipoth is no different. Okay. And now you're going to notice when you join the two tree structures, it actually reveals, and when you do it properly, you're going to see how both tree structures actually mesh together. And you see that in this center construct here that looks like a cross. And it's actually comprises 18 spheres. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. 18 spheres. And when you add up all of the numbers of both tree structures, it becomes 81, 8 and 1. So we're seeing the 18 spheres produce a number code of 81. So it's showing the perfect symmetrical nature of the single digit code. The single digit code is absolute, and it can't be. It's pure and powerful, and it shows up in all these constructs because they're all rooted in the single digit code. And you're going to see how this meshes seamlessly. Both structures mesh together seamlessly in their number construct. It goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9. And then it begins to count down. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then it goes back down again. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then it counts down 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And it works together seamlessly. And what happens is, when you add up all the columns of the 2 pillars of Boaz in this case, it becomes, the top becomes 16, the lower becomes 10, and that combines to form 8, reduced to 8. Same thing over here, you got 13 on both sides, that's reduces to become 8. So we're seeing an 8 here and an 8 here. And then the middle pillar breaks down into 2 sections too. The lower section combines to reveal 13, which is the death card. And the upper section does something a little different. If you add the 9, it adds to 16, which is the tower, and again, the spark of physical life. But if you disclude this 9 and just add the 6 and the 7, the 6 and the 1, it becomes 7, which is the chariot. So it's telling you via the tarot keys in the code of numbers used that this upper section, the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, is only the physical body, and it's the chariot for the spirit, which shows up in the code of the numbers. It's just absolutely amazing how it does that. Now there's another way to view this too. If you look at it, you're going to notice that both structures work from the outer aspect inward, okay? Now we're seeing the concept of, these could be viewed as sort of like the positive and negative aspects of electricity. Okay, we're seeing that here. The feminine aspect compresses and draws inward. It's a proton, and it draws into itself. The masculine aspect is exertive, and it pushes outward. Okay. Now, if we see this in a single structure, this is basically the method of this is the aspect of polarity via Walter Russell's works. Okay. Now, according to him, this is a planet. Okay. And the top is a positive charge, and the North Pole is a positive charge, the South Pole is also a positive charge, and that produces an inward sucking motion. And the ring here is the expanding aspect, and that's the masculine the masculine aspect, or the negative charge. Okay, and we see this in the solar system. We see this all over the place. And the perfect now, this looks just like Saturn. And the reason why we can see Saturn's rings is because Saturn's spinning rotation axis and its lines of magnetism share the same. There is no deviation, because the Earth has a tilt, so it means its spinning rotation axis and its magnetic North Pole are off by, I think it was like 23 degrees or something like that. So that's why the Earth doesn't have rings and other planets. But Saturn and planets that have rings have their rotational axis and their lines, their north-south axis and their rotational axis are the same. That's why it produces a ring sphere on it. And it's the same thing with the Sun. The Sun, it has the same thing going on, and all the planets in the solar system are on this negative ring that expands and radiates out from the center of it, and that's why it's like that. And that's why I put this here, because we're kind of seeing this here. We got the rotational vortex going to this center line, we got the rotational vortex going to this center line, and the single digit code, again, validates that via the number code. Because when you take these two center numbers here, the 9 and the 8, that adds to 17, which is the star in the tarot. And the star in the Osiron tarot spiral, the star is the newly conceived physical body or the fetus in the procession of development of the human being. So we're seeing this here. And what is the star reduced to? 8. So again, we're seeing the 8, and then on the middle, when you add these two, it reduces to an 8 again. So we're seeing the symmetry of that. And now you're going to notice something amazing, how these two trees intersect. You can see how it intersects, and it produces this neat little cross here. Okay? And when you take the triangular numbers, okay, now the true tree I'll do first. When you add 6, 7, and 9, it reveals 22, and the 22 pathways are associated with this. It reveals 22, which reduces to a 4. When you take the other side of the jewel of creation, you got 7, 8, and then the 8 down here. When you combine them, it reveals 23, which reduces to a 5. And then we're seeing the 4 and 5 presentation of the earthly numbers of the elements and the elements of Kundalini right in the middle of these two triangles. And when you add 22 and 23, it reveals 45, 4 and a 5. And so again, we're seeing just the perfect symmetrical nature, the backward and forward nature of the single-digit code. Okay, and I have this written again here. This is the our numbers written out 0 to 36. Okay. And this is showing the machinations of the true tree of life in the jewel. So the code, when you write the numbers on top of one another, like 0, 1, 0, 2, and then the tens would be written 1 and 0 below, when you do that, it shows you what's going on in the code that repeats to infinity. So you got 0 through 9, and then in the 1 group, the same thing, 0 through 9. In the 2 group, same thing, 0 through 9. And in the 3 group, if it was to finish, it would be 0 through 9, but 36 doesn't finish a complete set, and this is going to show up some amazing stuff in a minute I'll get to. But when you reduce all of these numbers, okay, it produces 4 sets of 1 through 9. So you got 1 through 9, 1 through 9, 1 through 9, and then 1 through 9 completes the sections of 4 again. Okay, now we're going to see something amazing, how the single-digit code just continually fractals out to infinity, which is amazing, and it makes sense to what the story of this, of what's going on. When you add the numbers 1 through 9, it produces 45. Okay, when you isolate the 10 group and add all of those numbers 10 through 19, it adds to 145, which reduces to a 1. When you add the 2 groups, 20 through 29, it adds to 245, which reduces to a 2. In the 3 groups, if you were to finish it, 30 through 39 would add to 345, which reduces to a 3. But remember, it stops at 36, so that's not a complete set. So what happens is, the numbers 30 through 36 add to 231, which reduce to a 6. And it does that in 7 steps. So 30 through 36 is 7 place numbers, okay? And we know the material world is associated with 7 in many ways. So we're seeing that in this last section, which when you follow the proper code of the elements, you got water here, fire, air, and then the section of the 30s would be earth. And so we're seeing the link with physicality of earth, the number 7, and the reduced number of 6, which is the material matrix, or the cube. So we're seeing that here. It's very, very powerful. And these two trees also show the process of what's going on in the Osiron Tarot spiral too. It mirrors them both. They both work together because they're both basically the same thing, machinations of the single-digit code. Okay, so now, the true tree of life is taking the position of 0, and we see that with winter here, the 0. Okay, then it jumps into creation itself with a 1, and we see that with the 1 in spring, which is 1, and then it reaches its full power at the top, and it goes, which basically represents sexual maturity. Because remember, the creation is born here, but it's not masculine yet. It's feminine because it activated sexual power. And the same thing here. Because you see this, the lowest tree structure joins with the jewel of creation, which is the physical body, right at the sacral region. This is right at the sacral chakra. Okay? So the power and the energy that is this unseen aspect of creation enters the human body at the sacral chakra, and then it makes its way up to consciousness, and then it activates up here at the crown, and then it's sexually alive, and then it begins its descent, but it's getting stronger as it does it, and this happens in the summer, and then it goes back to zero in the fall, back to the zero state of oblivion down here. So this is mirroring the zodiac exactly, and it's showing a spiraling vortex as well. We got the 0, we got the 1, we got the rise. Sexual power is activated, then it lives its life, then it gets back to 0 here in the death scene. Going back through the pre-physical aspects to the ultimate state of 0, which is oblivion. Can we see this? And we're also seeing why, because some people might ask, why does the jewel of creation go from masculine to feminine? Because the material world does that with the charge of electricity. The true way that the polarity flows from electricity is negative to positive, or the masculine force seeking the feminine. Remember, the positive charge is a drawing, attractive charge, and the masculine is a repellent, so this is going to here. And it's saying, we see this here, the positive aspect is feminine, and it's attractive. The masculine aspect is negative, and it's repelling. And this is why the masculine goes to the feminine in the physical world. But this lower aspect shows the birthing process. So it's birthing from feminine to masculine, and then it goes up to the top, and then it descends, and then it does its thing, and it goes both ways. You're also going to notice something interesting, is what happens in both tree structures is, in these upper sections here, the polarity stays the same. So what that means is, on the feminine pillar, the numbers are congruent with that pillar. You got 1 and 3. Over here, this is the masculine pillar, and you got 2 and 4. Up here, it's the same thing. The feminine pillar is 3 and 5, and the masculine pillar is 2 and 4. It's only when you break into these lower worlds here that the polarity flips, and they end up becoming polarized in their opposition. So then what we see on the true tree is the masculine and the feminine, and then the feminine and the masculine, and the same thing with the jewel of creation, is the feminine is in the masculine, and the masculine is in the feminine. So we're seeing polarity joined in a single unit here, and the number of Sephiroth that take place, that take part in that interaction are 6. We got 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6. So all over the place, again, we're seeing the machinations of the 6 in the physical world. And another aspect, that this just popped into my mind right now, we always see the number 666, and I've shown that, see, on the jewel of creation, when you add these number lines here, it goes like these ones, this world adds to 6, this world adds to 6, and this world adds to 6. And then in the lowest section it goes 3, 3, 3. But we're also seeing another 6, 6, 6 parallel with the both structures combined. So these upper 6, I'll start down here because this is where it's supposed to begin. These 6 spheres are in these 2 worlds. These 6 spheres are in these 2 worlds. And then in the middle here we see 6 more spheres each distinct. They're each distinct. We've got 6 spheres here, 6 spheres here, and then 6 spheres here. So we're seeing again the 666, and that shows up as 18 spheres. And when you add all the numbers, it becomes 81, as I said already. So that's how that goes. And really, these lines, these outer lines, really don't need to be here. I just did that because I wanted to show how the drawn version of the Tree of Life is produced. But really, all that's going on is really this. You see two separate hexagonal structures joined together. This is the feminine one, the true tree, and this is the masculine one, the jewel of creation. That's all it is. These lines don't really need to be there, but I just put them there just so because it looks like the tree of life as it's presented. That's all. And one last section here. This is the Kabbalistic supernal triangle, and this is going to show. I'm going to show right now the ultimate fallacy of the Kabbalistic presentation. And it's basically Kabbalism just uses confusing jargon and wordplay to deceive you. That's why you need to use the single digit code, because that is beyond deception, because it's just pure number code. Okay, but this is what they say. This is the supernal triangle according to the Kabbalists. You got Kether, Chokmah, and Binah, and this is the line here is called the abyss. And what they'll tell you is that this is the abyss line, and what they'll say is that human beings can't know or perceive what's beyond that abyss. That's what they'll say. Human beings can't know or perceive what's beyond that abyss. Well, the fallacy of that is if we as human beings can't know what's beyond that abyss, we can't quantify it either. So if we can't know what's beyond this abyss, we can't say that there's 3 Sephiroth here, and we certainly can't say that there's 3 levels of Ein Sof, because we don't know what's beyond the abyss. That's pure horse shit. It's exactly what it is. It's fucking bullshit. Because what they say, the Kabbalists say that this is the process of formation of creation here, and then the Ein Sof levels are just basically levels of 0. But that's just, again, it's just complete fucking horse shit. This doesn't exist. And the thing is, you don't need to put this when you use the proper number code, because the proper number code, all of this that's encapsulated by Ein Sof can be explained beautifully and perfectly with a simple concept of 0. That's all you need to put is 0. You don't need to get into fancy jargon and complete fucking horse shit that the Kabbalists do and make up a bunch of fantasy. All you have to do is use the proper number code of 0. When you do that, it explains everything that's going on. And when you do that properly, it shows that the feminine is the eternal part, the eternal aspect of creation. That's all you need to know, because in that, and again, the Architects of Abrahamism in their mythology do everything they can to condemn and demonize the feminine. And the idea of the Qlipoth is exactly that, because basically Qlipoth could be equated to hell. And what is hell? Hell is always down. Hell, you always go down to hell. And what is down below us is the earth below us. And what is the earth? The feminine. The earth is the mother Gaia, the feminine. So when you go down to hell, they're blaming the feminine, they're assigning the negative, evil connotations to the feminine aspect. And they psychologically get you to link that with your mind by associating hell with downwardness or darkness or evil. They make all this shit sound bad when all it really is the feminine principle. And the feminine principle is beauty and truth. So they do everything they can to poison that imagery in your mind's eye through their mythology and the twisted perversion of greater esoteric truth. And that's why I'm so vehement against the Kabbalists, because all Kabbalism is a more expounded aspect of Abrahamism, but none of it is unique to the Architects of Abrahamism. It's all stolen and it's all perverted from knowledge from an ancient time. As a matter of fact, an excellent channel to watch is a channel called New Earth, and the person who narrates that is Sylvie Ivanova, and she does an excellent job of showing that all of our history basically is false. There is nothing that's made it through to present day that has not been twisted and perverted in some way and lied about. I mean, it's so blatant. But she actually shows that Islam and Christianity were sects of the same religion in ancient times, but don't confuse that with the perversion of Christianity, of what we see in Christianity and Islam today, because it's not the same. The versions of Christianity and Islam we see today are poisoned by the Architects of Abrahamism to favor the masculine dominant worldview, and that is false. So anytime you see a masculine dominant worldview, you're dealing with Abrahamic poison, or the archontic mind virus, and Kabbalism can't be any different. So that's about it, I think. This is called the 18 spheres of the Qlipoth. And the reason why I call it the 18 spheres of the Qlipoth is because, as we see, is that it really is the same thing. This is the source. This is the source of creation, which is the feminine. And it's basically saying, through all of its fractals, is that the masculine aspect is nothing more than an extension of this divine aspect in physical manifestation. And that's ultimately feminine too. You know, because as I've explained before, 0 and 1, this is the feminine and this takes the masculine only in the idea of conception, because the masculine force is only masculine in relation to the 0, because the masculine force is just the nature of duality. But the creation itself, the irony is the creation itself is feminine. So even the tree of life, even the jewel of creation is a feminine construct, and that's why the universe is, the uni, one, yoni, they all sound very similar. Universe, yoniverse, so all of our mythology has been poisoned to favor the masculine, and that is the poison. We have to recognize that the masculine aspect is only a servant, a tool for expression of the greater feminine. And once we start, once we realize that truth and we start honoring that aspect of creation, the world will eventually fix itself. Because right now it's poisoned because of the Abrahamic poison. So, hello everyone. This is going to be a splice on the front of this video. I just made a huge discovery after I got the other video published. But it's this. Here's the two tree structures. When you add all of the numbers on the pillar in the middle here, it adds to a number, but it reduces to 2. So ultimately, the middle pillar reduces to 2, showing the dual nature of existence, 0 and 1, duality. But if you take the same concept I've done in other videos, where you take the pillar in the middle and take all the numbers and multiply them, when you do that same thing with this pillar, it becomes 2,160. And the same exact thing happens on this pillar. This also becomes 2,160, which, if you use the comma as a D mark, separates to 2 and 7, then it becomes 9. And I also have on here the each world becoming 666 for the jewel, and then each world becoming 333 for the true tree. And when you add all those numbers up, the 666 and the 333, that becomes 27. But now, the 2,160 may look familiar, because what that is 1/12 of the great year, the precession of the equinox. So when you take the precession of the equinox, and you divide that by 12, each house is 2,160 years long. So what we're seeing with the true Qlipothic tree, the true tree and the jewel in their proper order, what we're seeing is it's showing us the great year, it's showing us mathematics for the great year. It's absolutely amazing, and 2 pillars do it. Now, something else that's amazing that fits with the theme of all of my videos is when you do the same thing with the pillar of with both pillars of Yakin, it ends up becoming 3,136. Then that, if you use the comma as a D mark, separates to 3 and 1, and then it becomes 4. So what that's showing you, again, is that every single one of these first 4 numbers are feminine. Oh, no, it's not. I'm sorry, it's got the 6 in it, sorry, but it's still 3, 1, 3, and then 6. And then 3, 1, then it becomes 4. But it's highly masculine. The numbers here are highly feminine dominant. As a matter of fact, there's only 2 masculine numbers in the whole thing. The final 4 and then the 6. So that's pretty amazing in and of itself. So now you can watch the rest of the video, which explains all the rest of this stuff. Thank you, and namaste.